Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Leila and today I want to share with you some books that I bought when I went back home. So I haven't been in Kazakhstan for 3 years, and when I went this January for 2 weeks, I knew I have one goal among others, and that was to pick up Russian books, as it is quite hard to get them here in Prague where I currently live. So I knew I have to bring as many as I can, and I was able to bring, let me count, so I brought 9 books. I wanted to show them to you, but they all just fell right now. So here are 4 books, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the 9th book went deep under my bed, so yay for that. 9 books. So some of them are new that I bought, some of them are old, like old, like Soviet Union time old, that I bought, I didn't buy, that I found at my home, at my parents' home, because my mom has a lot of books. I don't really know if she read all of them. Like when I was a child, I really believed she did, but sometimes I ask her and she's like, yeah, I don't remember what that book is about. I'm like, how can you read something and then not remember if you read it or not? So I have a suspicion, but we're not going to talk about my childhood traumas right now. We're going to talk about all the books that I brought with me to Europe that I'm going to be reading this year, maybe some of them next year, because honestly, I still haven't read those books that I showed you back in 2021 when I went back home and I showed like the book haul, and 2 books out of that haul I still haven't read, and that is Tolstoy and Dostoyevsky. Dostoyevsky's The Idiot and Tolstoy's Anna Karenina, which I still want to read, of course. I think The Idiot is actually easier to go through because it's shorter, but Anna Karenina, after watching the movie with, who was it? What's her name? Keira Knightley, like I honestly want to read this book so much, but it's been like years and I still haven't read it, but I really want to read it this year. So if I won't read all the books I'm going to show you today this year, then I will just leave them for next year and the year after. Okay, without further ado, let's begin. I'll do my best to explain the books that I haven't read yet. Okay, first book I want to start with is actually Kyrgyz author, Soviet Kyrgyz author. If you don't know, Kyrgyzstan is like the country next to Kazakhstan. A lot of people don't really know Central Asia, so for them all of that is like the stance, which I find very dehumanizing of us and our different cultures. So this guy, Chingiz Aitmatov, this is his book, The Day Lasts More Than 100 Years. And I really wanted to read it because this is where the term mankurt comes from, and mankurt is a phrase for Turkic people, but a lot of other ethnicities actually in Soviet Union started using it. Mankurt is basically a slave who like believes what the slave owner tells him and would do anything to please the oppressor, you know. So I wanted to read this book for that reason alone, but let's see what it's about. Set in the vast, windswept Central Asian steppes and the infinite reaches of galactic space, this powerful novel offers a vivid view of the culture and values of the Soviet Union's Central Asian peoples. So like I said, it's like your decolonialism book that I think not only post-Soviets need to read, but everyone. It's quite big, but I am really excited to read it. I think it's gonna be one of the first ones I'm gonna actually delve into. Next is actually Russian author, and it is Chekhov, and this is the collection of his short novels or stories. The book is called The Cherry Orchard, so it has this story in it. And then it has Uncle Vanya, 3 sisters, and The Seagull. So 4 short stories that I actually heard a lot about, and I'm really excited to read The Cherry Orchard and Uncle Vanya the most, because Uncle Vanya I wanted to read ever since I watched the Japanese movie. I'll insert the photo here. It's like pretty recent, and it's basically a story about this theater director who puts this play, Uncle Vanya, and it's kind of like a lot about Uncle Vanya. So I really wanted to read it. I always feel so weird when I hear from foreigners Russian authors' books, and I'm like, I've never read it, and then I'm like, damn, I need to read it. It's my first language. I have to. So I'm really excited about it. I actually never read Chekhov, so I don't know how that happened. I think I read some excerpts from his plays or something like that back at school, but I never actually read him fully. So this is gonna be interesting to find out whether I'm a Chekhov lover or not. Next is, of course, the one and only Fyodor Dostoyevsky. It's not possible to have a Russian book haul without this name being brought up, and this is The Demons. Like I told you, have his The Idiot, so I am excited to read another one. This is my third Dostoyevsky, if Idiot is not gonna be for before this one, but I read his Crime and Punishment and Brothers Karamazov, and so now I know for sure that I enjoy his writing enough to buy more of his books. So even though I haven't read the other one yet, I still wanted to bring home at least one Dostoyevsky, and I did. So our English version is called Demons, not The Demons, but it's inspired by the true story of a political murder that horrified Russians in 1869. Fyodor Dostoyevsky conceived of Demons as a novel pamphlet in which he would say everything about the plague of materialist ideology that he saw infecting his native land. What emerged was a prophetic and ferociously funny masterpiece of ideology and murder in pre-revolutionary Russia. So sounds actually more fun than Idiot, so I'm actually more excited about Demons than Idiot. Next is my one and only Mr. Bulgakov. If you don't know, my favorite book, my most favorite book of all times is Master and Margarita, which I read in Russian when I was like 17, 18, and ever since then nothing really hit the spot the same way that book did, so I'm still a fan. And unfortunately that's the only Bulgakov I've read until recently when I bought this book, and this is The Heart of a Dog, and it has also other stories. So one of them is called The Fatal Eggs, and another one is Diaboliat. So, but I read already Heart of a Dog because I just couldn't wait, and it took me like a few days. It's so short, it probably will take you even less because I am quite a slow reader, and I say it all the time, but it's true. I take my time reading my books. I don't rush, I don't know. So, but it still took me only a few days, and it was very funny. It was really great, but I gave it only 4 stars because I really don't appreciate the way he writes about the proletariat, like that they're all basically below this high class, and the dog here represents how the simple man comes and takes from the rich. That I don't agree with, you know. There were a lot of things that were wrong with the Soviet Union and the oppression there, but I think one thing that I, as someone whose family lived during that time, I was born after, but still I know the stories, and I do appreciate the fact that people became literate. It was important for everyone to go to school, so in that way the equality part, even though of course it wasn't ideal, there was still a lot that was wrong, but I think the fact that proletariat got their chance to live better, that's something I disagree with, that he makes fun of in this book. So, and since we're talking about Bulgakov, I'll just mention this book that I didn't buy, but I brought it from my parents' house because this is exactly the book that I read Master and Margarita from, and it also has The White Guard. Although less famous than Mikhail Bulgakov's comic hit The Master and Margarita, The White Guard is still an engrossing book, though completely different in tone. It is set in Kiev during the Russian Revolution and tells the story of the Turbin family and the war's effect on the middle class, not workers. The story was not seen as politically correct and thereby contributed to Bulgakov's lifelong troubles with the Soviet authorities. It was, however, a well-loved book, and the novel was turned into a successful play at the time of its publication in 1967. You know, he lived till 1940, but so many of his books were actually like published afterwards. and that's like so sad that he never got to know that his books are loved and celebrated. So yeah, I'm excited to read more Bulgakov. Next one I also found in my mom's library, and it is Yevgeny Zamyatin, We, the book that I heard inspired George Orwell to write 1984, and I was actually surprised to find this book at home. I actually had no idea we had it, but I saw a lot of Westerners talking about it, so that made me want to read it, but I actually didn't hear a lot about it growing up. So a lot of my friends, oh, I love how I'm holding it like this, like upside down. Perfect. This is a great way to show a book, because who cares if you can read anything, right? The exhilarating dystopian novel that inspired George Orwell's 1984 and foreshadowed the worst excesses of Soviet Russia, Yevgeny Zamyatin's We is powerfully inventive vision that has influenced writers from George Orwell to Ayn Rand, I don't know who this guy is. In a glass-enclosed city of absolute straight lines, ruled over by the all-powerful benefactor, the citizens of the totalitarian society of one state live out lives devoid of passion and creativity. Until D503, a mathematician who dreams in numbers, makes a discovery. He has an individual soul. Set in the 26th century AD, We is the classic dystopian novel and was the forerunner of works such as George Orwell's 1984, Huxley's Brave New World. It was suppressed for many years in Russia and remains a resounding cry for individual freedom, yet is also a powerful, exciting, and vivid work of science fiction. So yeah, sounds interesting. Definitely want to read it this year, because I don't know, like, it just sounds interesting. And if you tell me something inspired George Orwell's 1984, you bet I'm gonna read it. Next book is the one that I bought specifically when I was assigned this book novel in my Russian literature class back when I was going to high school, and I never read it because I found it boring. So when I saw it this time when visiting, I was like, oh my god, I need to take it with me, because it is Nikolai Gogol, or like Americans or English speakers call him Gogol, which sounds to me so funny because it's Gogol, you know, Gogol. So this is The Dead Souls, and it also has other stories such as Nose. And now this is where I need to again look into English translation, because I'm not sure like how you guys translated these ones. I think this one is The Coat. Some versions have it as The Overcoat, some as The Coat, but in Russian it's Chanel, which is not even quite the coat. It's like the special coat. Anyways, I need to see the name of other ones because there's a lot of them. So then it has Diary of a Madman. I don't know, it says Nevsky Prospect, because that's pretty much how it is in Russian. And then it has, I don't know if it's the right translation because I can't find it, but it's basically portrait. And the last one is The Carriage. So I am more excited about The Dead Souls, but I also love me some short stories because I can always put them on Goodreads as a book that I read, and it's like closer to my goal. Who said that's not appropriate to do? Because like each story is a book. It's a universe of its own. So I'm happy and excited to read short stories from Gogol. I used to love Gogol as a child, actually. I read his scary story called V. If you haven't heard about it, I think you should read it because it's really good. It's really interesting. Like, I don't know, it still haunts me to this day. Like, in a good way, you know. But at the time when I was reading it as a child, I was like, oh my god, it's so scary. And then I also loved so English translation of this, I think it was still like a short novel, short story, I don't know, but Village Evenings near Dikanka and Mirgorod. But in Russian it's Вечера на хуторе близ Dikanki. I don't know if Mirgorod was there. Anyways, that one I also loved a lot. It was like also very mystical but very funny. So I can really recommend to read those two if you want to get into Gogol, because you don't hear a lot about him. And he was Ukrainian, but he still like was a big part of Russian literature classes in Kazakhstan. So it's complicated and I don't want to get into it, but I am excited to read Gogol. The next two books are actually not Russian literature or Soviet literature at all, but I still want to show them to you because I did bring them from Almaty and they did weigh heavy, so they deserve their moment. And first one is Sigmund Freud, and it has his three, I wanted to say stories, but it's not stories, is it? Because he was a scientist. So his three works. So this book, as you guys know, my only two languages that I write in, well, I don't even write in Russian, but I write in English, but I do read in Russian. It's my first language. So when I find a foreign language book like German or French, I don't mind reading it in either Russian or English, but obviously if it's English book, I would rather read it in its original language because I can understand it. It's really important, I think, to read in the original language to kind of like enjoy the book. That's like my personal opinion. And the same with Russian. Like I wouldn't read Dostoyevsky in English because I can read it in Russian and it's actually so much better. Like if it's in Russian, I cannot imagine all those like words being translated into English because it's like it loses its meaning, you know. Anyways, but Freud wrote in German, so I can read it in Russian because I bought this book when I was 16 and I really, or maybe 17, and I really thought I can do Freud, you know, Freudian slip, but it was really difficult for me at the time, so I am gonna try now that I'm almost 29. I think I might be luckier, but who knows. So it has civilization and its discontents, the ego and the id, and beyond the pleasure principle. So three works of Freud, very short seemingly book, so I think I can go one by one through his works and finally try to understand what's up with this, you know. I know nowadays Freud is kind of outdated, etc., but I still think what he did for psychology, psychotherapy shouldn't be forgotten. He wasn't right in everything, but he was still the father of psychology, and I think we should respect that. I don't know, that's my personal opinion. And the last book is Albert Camus, and it's also in Russian because it's originally French, which I don't speak French, and it has The Stranger, which I already read and I loved it. Then The Plague, I read it last year, so not from this book, but my friend gave it to me, and I also read it in Russian, so somehow Camus so far is my Russian translation author. Then there is The Fall, which I haven't read, but I definitely plan to do it this year. And then it has like short stories and essays, but a lot of these short stories is just actually excerpts from his like books, but it has full on Caligula, which is I don't know, like it's kind of like a myth, kind of like a play, I think, because I went through it and it reads like a play. So I'm excited about those two, and I do want to read also The Myth of Sisyphus. What is it? You guys know. So that one I really want to read, but I don't have it, so maybe that one I can actually buy in English translation and read Camus in English as well. So that sums up my video, my Russian slash Soviet slash books in Russian that I found at home haul, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will be sharing with you my progress over on Instagram, so if you're not following me, make sure to follow me because I share my book adventures there much more frequently. But it was so great to catch up with you guys and to share these books that I brought from home before I read them all, you know, because I already read two, not full books, but like 2 stories from those books, and like you never know, I might like finish it by tomorrow and you guys would be like, girl, what, you didn't share it with us? I had to do my duty. Okay, I need to go actually write an article but I really wanted to do it today, and I really felt like talking to you guys and sharing my books. So if you enjoyed it, if you want to see more book content from me, give this video a big thumbs up so I will know that I need to film more of these, because I love talking about books. I hope you guys enjoy watching it as well. If you want to see more, then also subscribe. Click that bell to get notified when my new videos. Leave the comment down below letting me know which of these books you have read, you want to read. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. I love you. Bye.